Hi everyone, it's Michael Citron for another edition of Ask Michael Monday. I'm so excited. I'm here with Captain Chris Mulligan. Thank you so much for coming on our show today.
Thanks for having me.
It's a great pleasure to meet you. I wanted to jump right in this because we have a lot of questions. Can you please introduce yourself to the audience as the captain of BSO's Parkland Police Department?
Thanks, Mike. Captain Chris Mulligan, Broward Sheriff's Office. I am the district captain for the BSO Parkland District. I've been in the district since March of 2018, where I came over as the lieutenant, and then in, I want to say, sometime around March, April, May, I was assigned here as the acting captain, and then was appointed captain in August of this year.
Great. You've seen Captain Mulligan probably at a lot of the parks and events. We did the trunk or treat event. You guys were set up right next to us. Please discuss your background and your history.
Sure. So this is my 33rd year in law enforcement. I started with the city of Wilton Manors, where I worked for about 2 years, and then I went to the city of Pompano Beach in 1987. And in 1999, the city of Pompano Beach merged with the Broward Sheriff's Office, and that's how I came to be a BSO deputy. Some of the positions that I've held in law enforcement, obviously I've worked road patrol. That's kind of a position that everybody works. I was a detective for 6 years. I worked 1 year general assignment, which is everything from purse snatches to car thefts, robberies, that kind of a thing. And then I worked for 5 years as an economic crime detective, specializing in frauds, checks, that kind of a thing. In 1999, when we came over, I got an opportunity to go into the training division for the Sheriff's Office. Okay. So I was fortunate in my career to do 3 tours in the training division. I was a trainer, got promoted to sergeant in 2003, went back out to the road, worked in Central Broward as a road patrol sergeant on the midnight shift for about a year. Got the opportunity to go back to the training division as the sergeant in charge of the in-service program. Kind of a funny story. I went to Iraq in 2008. When I came back, I found out that it had been downsized. They had to bring another sergeant in while I was gone because I was gone for so long. So I had the opportunity to go out to the city of North Lauderdale, and I was a midnight sergeant in North Lauderdale for about another year and a half. Great time at both of those locations. Then I got promoted to lieutenant in 2012. And went back to Central Broward again. Kind of seems like, make the circuit.
Sure.
Went back to Central Broward as the lieutenant on the midnight shift, and then got tapped to go back to the training division as the operations lieutenant for the training division. So I did 3 tours in the training division. And then in 2017, I got an opportunity to go down to our South Broward district, which consists of the cities of West Park and Pembroke Park.
Okay.
I was the executive officer down there, which is basically the number 2 person in the district, and then was asked to come up here in March of 2018. Left one thing out, probably the proudest accomplishment or the most fun I've ever had. I spent 25 years on the SWAT team.
Wow. So you have a lot of experience.
Enjoyed that immensely.
So you've seen it all.
Seen a little bit.
Great. So what are the changes that BSO, you guys are making and have implemented already in the city, as well as in the schools regarding the SRO officers? I think a lot of people are aware, but not totally aware of what the change has been.
Right. So let's kind of start with the schools first, because it's almost a 2-part question.
Sure.
So after the February 14th event, the city worked with us. That they felt very strongly about wanting to increase the number of SROs at the school. So we worked with them, and they authorized an additional 6 positions for the schools, which brought our SRO contingent up to 11 deputies. So we have 3 deputies at Marjorie Stoneman High School. And then we have 2 at all of the other schools, which is kind of unique because, as far as I know, we're one of the few districts that actually have that suggested 1,000 to 1 ratio.
Correct.
So like I said, we increased the number of SROs at each of the schools. And one of the other things that we worked well with the city on is they authorized an additional sergeant's position So we have a dedicated SRO sergeant who's responsible for the day-to-day running of the SROs.
Of all the schools?
All the schools.
Wow, I didn't know
So
that.
talk about a busy guy. He goes out and he visits all the schools daily. He coordinates a lot of the information that we get in terms of, I'll talk about the Safe Watch app a little bit more later, but he coordinates a lot of the information. He's responsible for the scheduling that all, for training and whatnot that the SROs go through. So that's really a huge win for us in terms of staffing because it's 11 bodies. So you're talking about a significant span of control there. So we're really happy to have those additional persons and the SRO supervisor to go with that. I mentioned it. One of the things that we've done is we've worked with a company called Safer Watch. It's an app. It's a free app that you can download on Apple or Google phones, and it kind of takes the see something, say something to another level. So it's an electronic way for you to provide us with information, and if you want to remain anonymous. One of the really good things is we've had a lot of success with that. We've gotten a lot of information about, even if it's just somebody passing on what they think might be a concern or a potential threat, we've been able to go out and investigate a lot of them. And I don't have the numbers for you exactly, but just off the top of my head, I'd say we're probably on at least 15 Safer Watch apps that we've gone out and investigated. Fortunately, every one of them has been unfounded, but it's been a good tool and the community's really embraced it. Another thing that the SROs did this themselves, they took some initiative and at Stoneman Douglas, they helped put together a program that involved 211 Broward, United Way, the Sheriff's Office Department of Community Programs. They put on a program, they coordinated a program that talked about suicide prevention and drug abuse and drug awareness. So even the deputies there are actually taking a lot of initiative to kind of build up the program. Another thing that we've been instrumental in doing with the SRO sergeant is now we have an actual coordinated effort between our criminal investigation sergeant and our SRO sergeant. So when something happens outside of school, it's no longer getting lost between the cracks. There's communication. They've created a log. So if Johnny and Jimmy get in a dust up at Pine Trails Park and it's on a Saturday and a report is generated, all the reports go to the criminal investigation sergeant. So he now has an ability to go to the SRO sergeant and say, hey, this happened over the weekend, so you're aware of it. So now the SROs can reach out, and if they want to have a conversation with the kids involved, just to touch base with them, make sure that everything's good. So that's a significant amount of it's a new program that we've brought here to the district. Some of the other things that we talked about a little bit about is increased information sharing. So for instance, when we had the walkout the other day, one of the things that we were very fortunate about is that the SROs have developed a good rapport with the students. We had a lot of information beforehand, and we were able to coordinate that information with the City of Coral Springs Police Department. We shared that information with them; they shared information with us. So we've tried to improve the information sharing that goes back and forth, not only between the fire department, but also between the Coral Springs Police Department as well.
Yeah, I remember driving to the gym that day, and early in the morning, I already saw tons of police presence. Like you guys had already known about it.
Yeah, we were very fortunate, and I was here for the walkout that happened last school year. And while it happened pretty quick, and we were still able to bring in enough resources to effectively deal with it, but this time not only did we deal with it, effectively, but we were able to get the resources in place beforehand. So that was a key.
So the SRO officers that we have, are they getting any new training? Is there anything different?
So I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, absolutely. The SROs. So one of the things that we've done as an organization, or as an agency, I should say, is to tweak the SRO program is we're now providing the SROs with training during the off time. So ordinarily they used to go to in-service training whenever we could schedule them. So this year, while the summer break was on, the SROs had attended a course specifically designed for the SROs. It gave them a refresher and active shooter training, as well as training on a new rifle that was provided for them. So that will be the norm as we go forward. The SROs will now get their training in bulk. They won't be pulled from the schools while the school is in session. They'll get their training during the summer, and there'll be some courses that are specific to the SROs, as well as the other stuff that they need to accomplish as regular deputies.
That's great. That's all this information. I'm glad I had you on because you read a lot of things or you see press releases, but it's good to hear this. I didn't know all this. I mean, to be honest with you, so I know a lot of people who watch should be feeling a little bit safer. I hope because these these things are being implemented. Now, school safety. We'll go into just overall city. Do you feel with the amount of police on the streets, the Parkland has enough security? You'll go into detail, but because it's changes, but 8+ a supervisor during the evening hours and 6+ a supervisor during the day.
Right, and as we talked a little bit, before we began, so we have 8 deputies on duty for the night shift. That is and more than enough to handle the normal calls for service, to patrol the city, to do what we need to do. Now, one of the great things about being in an organization this size is that because we are a large organization, even though we only have 8 deputies here in Parkland, we still have other resources that we can draw from relatively quickly. For instance, on our radio channel is also the city of Tamarack and the city of North Lauderdale. So in the event of a critical incident, or we just need additional deputies, we don't have to go through a lot of issues to get them. We can simply get on the radio, ask the supervisors from those districts to send us additional units, and they get here pretty quickly. As an example, I don't know if you heard, but on Thanksgiving night, we had a child with autism who walked away from the house that he was visiting here in Parkland.
I heard about that.
So, aside from the Parkland deputies that were involved in trying to find the young man, we had deputies from Pompano, we had 2 bloodhounds, we had criminal investigations detectives who specialize in missing persons. We used our Twitter, which I didn't talk about. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but we used our Twitter account to put information out there. So again, while that number, I guess it's perception, while that number may seem big or small to somebody, the reality of it is there's a lot more resources behind those numbers. As another example, the helicopter was out looking for the young man as well. So you can see where there are advantages, even though we may only have 8 deputies on the road here. Those resources come into the city very quickly. The 6 deputies that you mentioned on the day shift, and again, another thing to remember is these are the deputies that if you pick up a phone and call for an officer or a deputy to come out to your house, those are the ones that show up, the ones wearing the uniforms, the ones in a car. Additionally, though, we have 4 detectives who are on duty. We have 2 traffic units these are during the day. 4 detectives on duty, 2 traffic units, as well as myself and the lieutenant. So if I did the math right, I think you're talking about an additional 8 deputies who are on duty. So in the event of a critical incident, what you're really talking about is 14 deputies on duty during the day shift.
Now, was this increased recently? I mean, obviously.
So some of this was increased, but it was normal, an increase in normal staffing. And again, as we kind of talked about, one of the things that we're talking about with the city is as we build out the wedge and some other unincorporated areas, we're working with the city to create a plan where we will increase the staffing of the district. So we're getting ready to go into our strategic planning sessions right now, and that process will begin in January, and we'll start talking about realistically as we get closer to a build out, what are the numbers that we want to hit incrementally.
Okay. What do you personally like to tell the city of Parkland and its residents about your leadership, or anything else for them to know about you and your staff?
You know, when you say my leadership, I will tell you this, and in this is an overused phrase, I think a lot, but really what happens here, this is a team effort. I mean, I do this alone. The deputies are the ones out there handling the calls for service, having the most interaction with the residents. So really the success, and I would say that what I have seen and what I have been told by people that I come in contact with is that we have seen a success. When I first got here, there were a lot of folks that I ran into who they had some concerns in after what had happened, understandably so, but I will tell you that the feedback that I've gotten from just about everybody that I run to, and I say just about everybody, that's not right, everybody that I run into has been positive. They're extremely happy with the SROs, they're extremely happy with the deputies. What I would tell you, what I want the residents of Parkland to understand is that when I got here, what I heard was that the deputies in the district were not engaged. They didn't feel like the BSO was part of the community. And I think that we've gone a long way to try to change that perception. We get out there as much as we can. We're involved in all the different various activities, and we're always open to communication I've gone to just about every PTA or HOA meeting that I can. I make sure I give out my personal email. I make sure I give out the number to the district. So people, as you know, people in this community are not afraid to pick up a phone or call.
You were very accessible. I got you right on the phone. Email response right back, and we're here on the show.
Unsolicited testimonial.
There you go.
And another thing that we've done to sort of engage in the community as well is we have the Twitter feed. We're the only district that I know of in the sheriff's office that has a dedicated Twitter feed. So we're at BSO Parkland. Follow us.
Yeah.
But again, the important thing I want folks to know is that even though our patch says the Broward Sheriff's Center, we are the Parkland Police Department. We're the hometown police department here for the city of Parkland. I think it's important that residents know that we're engaged, that we care, and that we take seriously our commitment to making sure that the community is safe and making sure that we protect the residents and their property.
Great interview, boy. You could have a career as a.
Don't wish that on me.
You got 33 years of experience, 33 plus years. Wow. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. A lot of people probably got a lot of information. This is great. Watch this video. It's got a lot of useful information discussing what changes are being already implemented and will be implemented. I thank Captain Mulligan for coming on. If you want to reach him, I really am honest. It's very accessible. Station's right here. I'm going to get a great tour of it afterwards. We're going to look at the holding cell too.
I promise I'll let him out.
If you don't see me on the show next week, you'll know why. But I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys enjoy time with your family tonight. And don't forget to watch another episode of Ask Michael Monday next week. Thank you so much and have a good night.